Wondering if you could speak about the Weather Underground makes January 6th look like child's play, plus who supported it. Same as it's ever been. Yeah. It's what the left became, really. Yeah, January 6th is like nothing compared to what the Weather Underground group did in this country, in the bombing the Capitol. They were also part of the Black Panthers. They were part of the Black Liberation Army. As far as, if you mean supported it funding-wise, I would say the U.S. government. Us. Our money, not that we wanted it. To find the direct funding there, I don't know. You could go back to this guy's dad, Bill Ayers. Maybe. Let me just say that maybe. There's nothing I can confirm with that, but he was the head of Commonwealth Edison. So Bill Ayers, plays this. What these two idiots are an example of is they become the very thing that they're supposedly fighting against. But then what their organization was about black nationalism. It was about communism. It was about fighting like imperialism. But they were about being violent. Now you will get your educated, right? Your higher educated professors that make excuses for these jerk-offs, okay? But they were violent, and they have no regrets about their violence. He never served any jail time. But then his father, because he was the head of Commonwealth Edison, went on to give a bunch of money to Northwestern University. So after all of their crime sprees, bombing different bombs everywhere, this one, Bernadine Dorn, his wife, went on to get, they made a special position for her as a professor, like of law, I think it was, of course, at Northwestern University, and he went on to retire from University of Illinois, Chicago. Both universities are just garbage. They are. You can go there and tell yourself that you're so proud you went there, but quite frankly, when they put criminals like this in, what do you think your kids are going to come out being like? What they want them to be like? Our government is very much behind this. So and it's confusing because you have to step back and think about it because of the fact that they're fighting against the government, but also the government is funding it. Because the government, they've edged their way into the government because it's about taking down America's Constitution. So not necessarily they want control of it all. These are sick people that have no self-awareness whatsoever. So interestingly enough, though, at its height in the 1970s, the Weather Underground was responsible for at least 25 bombings of government buildings, including at the Capitol and the Pentagon. And this was some of the FBI wanted list of, they started out as students for Democratic Society, but then branched off from that. Both Bill Ayers and Bernadine Dorn, Bill Ayers especially came from wealth. Bernadine Dorn, upper middle class in Wisconsin, I believe. Bill Ayers was born was raised much of his life in Glen Ellen. So I lived like a town or two over from Glen Ellen, which was Wheaton, when I was young. Glen Ellen is just full of the rich. So he acting like he's some, poor thing. Yeah, no, he just does it. And you will go on Snoops and see how, no, Obama and Bill Ayers, they just knew each other in passing. Bullshit. The very reason I saw the DCFS system here in Illinois be garbage is because Obama and that idiot, Bill Ayers, are both idiots, were heading up for some time juvenile justice, which is a hidden court. Yeah. Do you want Obama near children? I certainly don't, or Bill Ayers. But that's how garbage these universities are. They put these people in. So because Bill Ayers' father, Tom Ayers, gave so much money to Northwestern University, that's why they made, after their fugitive days, because Bill Ayers wrote a book about his fugitive days because they were after his wife, and they don't feel a bit bad about it. She finally served some time, like small amount of time. And it was all because, the FBI screwed it up. So then they didn't get to go after them for as much. Really. So that's so convenient, isn't it? These were three of the main criminals. Is that Tom Jones or Tom something? But here's Bill Ayers and Bernadine Dorn. These fugitives, these criminals have no remorse for anything they've done. They see that violence is necessary to have a revolution. But what they did was get in the education system to change all the next generations. They hated police. That's obvious. They just did. It's in most of their flyers. On October 6, 1969, the statue commemorating the policemen killed in the 1886 Haymarket Affair in Chicago was blown up by a group, including Bill Ayers. The blast broke nearly 100 windows and scattered pieces of the statue onto the Kennedy Expressway below. No one was ever arrested. Of course not. His father was the head of Commonwealth Edison. Weatherman found found itself isolated from the Students for Democratic Society, but maintained hopes that thousands would attend the mass demonstration in Chicago. And most did, and Bernardine Dorn regrets not building the link between feminism, the women's feminist movement, and the anti-war movement strong enough. Mm-hmm. But then she doesn't have anything nice to say. She's really just a psychopath. This is what she's had to say about police. Killing a cop, that's just because he's a cop. That'll happen, and that should happen. And there's nothing inhuman about it at all. It's survival. It's the most human thing in the world. Total psychopath. They both are, her and her husband, Bill Ayers. Yeah, and, they go back to the Democratic Convention, then 1968, the students... This was when he got into University of Illinois Chicago. This is telling his whole story. Yeah, they put him up on some like freedom fighter hero. No, he's a lunatic. He most certainly shouldn't be in charge of teaching. But he's retired now, so it doesn't matter. That's what our government does, because they want to take down our Constitution. And they did bombs, as I said, all over. But they didn't. They assembled the bombs. So this was in Greenwich Village. Was it 70 or 75? I forget. But they did this, and it was their people killed, luckily. But they would not. They would make the bombs to where nails and other like IEDs, where other things were in them. And yet Bill Ayers says we never hurt anybody. We were never terrorizing anybody. That's how stupid. University of Illinois Chicago put this idiot in as a professor over there, and that's what he thinks. Yet he was involved in this shit. I mean, like, how stupid. And then when people want to say, oh, him and Obama just passed No, they're not. They're seen on I showed a picture. I wish I still had it. It's somewhere on one of my phones. Of him and Bill Ayers. They're doing some radio show or some campus thing talking about juvenile justice. They didn't just cross paths. Obama's presidential campaign was started in the terrorist living room of Hyde Park. This was the statue that they blew up of the policemen. And their days of rage was going at, they've just always, this is why I get sick of this shit with the police. It's because of terrorists like this. They need to always take the police system down. And then when you have the federal government, because you have to separate the FBI from your local police and sheriffs. You do. I'm not saying I'm not going to go down this road. There's bad police. There's people in every profession that don't belong in that profession. But for the most part, police are not trying to take away your rights. And much of the tension that has been created between black and white is because jerk-offs like Bernardine Dorn and her husband, but there was others in that group. They have gone on then, their children, because Kathy Bodine, I think she's dead now, but she went on to spend a pretty long time in jail. Several of these women did that were involved in this Weather Underground. And they had children. So Kathy Bodine's son is a DA in California. So that's what their plan is. These people are out of their minds, and yet our universities put these people in. Yeah. There's no way to be committed to non-violence in one of the most violent societies that history has ever created. She should go fuck herself. Sorry, I just can't stand her. I can't stand her or her husband. They've been given some platform like they're freedom fighters, and they're nothing but a bunch of criminally minded people that have been heading up heirs, in the case of her husband, juvenile justice. Yeah, all of this stems back to communism, trying to overthrow America and our Constitution.